Everybody, how are we doing tonight? That's great. Good to hear it. Wait a second, let me get some more light on the subject here. And let's see if I can raise this bad boy up a little bit. And I'll get logged in on my tablet so I can see what you guys are saying. Well, we will get this shindig moving. That doesn't help me any. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay. Verify that I do in fact have sound going. Yay us. And probably help if I had that the right direction. You get my messages all settled down. There we go. So I'm the first one here. Yay! Raise this up here. That's not up, that's down. There's up. I knew I could do it. Yay! Okay. Get that out of the way. I guess what I'll do today is I will start off with words. Oh, I know, right? Let's see. I don't want to lie to you about something. I mean, I do, but I don't want you to know that I'm lying to you. So I'm sure you understand how that goes. Okay. $10. There we go. That was the important number. So I got a new toy today. $10. It is the Shaolin Flexible Desktop Tripod Fan. The model number is SCH-1121. Yeah, SCH-1121. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming. And please do hit the thumbs up button. Hey, Rustic. Hey, Blake. How you doing? So this is it. It comes with a little USB cord, and it has 3 legs. It can sit on your desk like so. Or what I got it for is I'm planning to get one of those stands that holds on top of your tripod, like, pretend it's, this. So, you could put your phone here, or you could put a camera here, or whatever. Well, I'm thinking about figuring out a way to, crab it around there so it can blow on my phone and keep it cool. So it has 3 different speeds. And please forgive me, because when it came, it was dead. I had to hold the button down just for it to run, and I thought it was a piece of junk. But it's not. Am I hot? Rusty, do you know how hot I am? I mean, come on. So air's low, air medium, and let's see, what can I? Yeah, it's not really helpful because it's not, not flexible. And there's high, but you can see it is moving. How useful is it to blow a line around? But there you go. It moves, it moves there a little bit. I mean, it's not like the greatest thing since sliced bread. It does have a battery in it, so it will charge up and all that fun stuff. And there we go. So I had an interesting night last night. Not the kind of night you think I might have even. And I couldn't sleep. So in my tiny little brain was this idea that I needed to go try this new knot. Something that had been rolling around my head for a few days for no reason at all. So I got up in the middle and tried it, and it didn't work. But that brings me to another point. Come here, sunshine. Is that it? Nope. So I've gotten some of this Suffix Tritanium Plus, and if you've watched all my videos, I'm sorry, but if you have, I've said that it feels like there's lotion on it. I mean, they say some nylon is self-lubricating, whatever exactly that means. It feels like it has lotion on it. I mean, there's no greasiness to it. There's no, there's nothing on it. But I was testing the Mortician's rig with just single overhand knots and pulling the snoot end of it. And the single overhand knot was just literally at about 5 pounds. It was just moving down the line, even though it had been pulled tight. And it made no sense. And then this afternoon when I was playing around, and boy, have I been playing around with line today. I don't know how long it'll run on the power pack. Like I said, I just got it, but let's see what the instructions say. Why I would read those, I don't know. When fully charged at lowest speed, 5 hours, medium, 2 hours, 5 hours, medium will be 3 hours, and high will be 2 hours. Don't put it in a wet place, hot place near liquid, and children should be supervised by adults when using. Prohibited for children under 4, so if you have a kid under 4, you can't have this anywhere in the world. Don't put a finger in the grill or blades. Yeah, whatever. So, there you go. 5 hours on low, 3 hours medium, 2 hours on high. But, of course, you can keep it plugged in as well. So, there's that. So, anyway, I was playing around with some knots, and the Tritylene knot was pulling out. And I'm like, how is this possible? That line, the suffix tritanium plus, it's their copolymer. It's just an extremely slick line. I don't have another way of putting it. So, if I go back in my notes here, and oh my goodness, do I have too many notes? Okay, so I tested with Big Game, 20 pound. I tested the Surgeon's Loop using 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 wraps under there. And the highest of any of them was 26.9. 4 was the best. 4 twists was the best. Had a low of 70.9 and a high of 21.4. I tell you that because the normal dropper loop that I'm used to, when I say dropper loop, I'm talking about what they use for pompano rigs. And what that does, give me some line. Give me some line. If you create a loop like so, and then you flip these over each other 6 to 8 times, and then you take the bottom end of the loop, throw it through there. What I found in my testing was that is not a very strong knot, like 15 pounds. And even down like 12 at some points. Hello, fun fishing adventurers. How you doing? Yes, it's Bible study for fishing. Let's see. Blake, I am doing great. I know I said hi to you, but if I didn't, then hey. I'm always playing with someone that, well, thank you. Or something. Yes, it's Chinese. Yes, exactly. Don't put it in wet play. Stop it. It's a Bible study for fishing. NJ, Fishing Maniac. Thank you for asking. The wind is howling out there. It was. Yes, Rustic. It has an internal battery. It says it has. Okay. Well, somewhere else it says it. So it does have its own internal battery, and of course you can leave it plugged in if you want to do that as well. Scotty, it's the best kind of life. Great to see everybody on the Fishing the Mid-South love stream. Thank you. Live. Okay, there you go. Hate spell check. Rusty didn't hit the like button. Dude, there's 4 of you in here and 5 thumbs up. I appreciate you. Where the rest of them went, I don't know. And I can't tell you what it is, but every gosh dang time I go live, my mustache decides that it wants to tickle my nose forever. Hey, Danny the Stinger Manny. Yeah, for $10, it ain't bad, man. On Amazon, of course, that's where I get everything. So I'm hoping that I can, use these little guys to like wrap around. At first I was thinking it would wrap around the phone, but that's not going to work. But if I can get it to wrap around that, dual camera setup thingamajiggy so that, it can blow on the phone, because I think we all know, in the heat of summer, especially if we don't have some kind of shade over the phone, they're going to overheat. And there goes our live streams. So, There we go. So I really liked the Mortician's rig until the middle of the night when I got up and I could not. I'm sitting there going, everything is breaking and sliding and it's ridiculous. And I tried a few different knots and I made a video on it. I haven't posted it yet, using black lights and everything. It was interesting. Yeah, Manny. Well, Manny is he's the stinger Manny, right? So it's actually Danny. He stings the Manny. Well, I know who all four of you are that are in here, so I won't even bother saying it. Actually, I will. Maybe somebody will watch it later because I don't know. So there are. I don't know if Danny has a channel. I know Rustic Outdoors has a channel. I know NJ Fishing Maniac has a channel. I know that Fun Fishing Adventures has a channel. And all of those are channels I would recommend that, if you're looking for some content to hang out and watch. Those are all good folks. Hey, I'm going to call you Levent. Maybe not. I don't know. But hello from Turkey. Well, I am a turkey, so it all works out. So anyway, when my Mortician's rig was failing miserably, and as I got to thinking, as I worked more on things today, I'm like, man, it's the dang line. The line is so slick. Anyway, so I want to show you some. I did more research. I always do, and so I'm gonna try to tie a trilene knot. If you need to know how to do that, there's a video on my channel. Okay, so I'm just using a trilene big game, 20-pound. Also, folks, if you like 20-pound or 30-pound trilene big game, the 3-pound spool is on sale on Amazon. I think it's the 30-pound. You got to wait a month or two for it to come in. It's like 5,700 yards. And the 20-pound in green, it's like $45 instead of 120. If you care about that color, the 30 I think was clear. The others, I checked out the others and they were not on sale. So anyway, Paul, I am shit at life, my friend. It's not just YouTube, but thanks for thinking it was, limited to just YouTube. But you know what I can tell you, Paul? I was hardcore pro-life until you came in here, and now I am so pro-choice. If it's not too late, ask your mom if she can go back to the doctor and get you pulled out a little early. Just what I'm saying, okay? Talking about pulling out early from your mom, that you probably should do that too. Anyway, jackass. Italian chocolate. What's Berkeley line like now? Well, no, tasty, very tasty. And again, you would need this is a 1/4-pound spool. This is what most people are going to play with if they're not using just the standard reel. And this, or the standard, one reel spool. This is 650 yards of 20-pound. So when you're going, I don't remember. I think the 30-pound was 7,800, and I can't remember what the 20-pound was, but it was, or maybe it's still 78. It's a ridiculous amount of line. It's more than you're going to use in a very long time. Hey, Washington Fishing Adventures, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. So anyway, as I was looking around for better knots, I found the spider hitch. It's more of a wolf spider, not a brown recluse. So I'm going to show you how to tie that. So the way you're supposed to tie it, the way people show it. So you create a loop. I know, right? You double over your line. You need a big honking bunch because I have huge fingers. That's why I'm creating a rig for it. So you double over your line and you create a loop. I know, really hard, right? And you hold this together, and I can't get my fingers to do what they want me to do with it. So you extend your thumb out, and I've already messed it up because, like I said, I got these gigantic fingers. Okay, so you've got your loop. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be big. So you pinch like here, and then you wrap it around. And in theory, they use their thumb, and I so you wrap it around, and then you wrap it around your thumb. You do like 5 times, and then you come through it. And as you come off, like I said, again, you're careful about how it pulls off, right? And it's actually a very strong knot. But I created this little jig, and you'll have to work with your own methodologies. I've got pins, I've got holes every inch, and right now I'm doing it very short because I'm going to test a bunch of knots. So what I do here is I tie on my swivel, and give yourself as much length as you want before your first loop. But for me, I want it to be really close. So I go behind it as it's facing me, around, and then I just put the loop on this first one, right? And pull tight, and then I pull the end that's still attached to the spool. And again, you don't want to do it this close. I'm doing it because I'm going to be doing some pull testing. So I get it to where it's like almost up to the swivel. So what I've got here is I've got everything here's doubled over. We go from behind, we go around, and we come up here, and that, you don't even have to put it there, but that just gives me a length that I can work with so that I can reproduce that length. And then in between both of these posts, you go through 5 times. You go around everything 5 times with that doubled over piece. And that was 4, I believe. And there's 5. And you don't have to hold this end over here. I do it, and I don't know why. And I just use one of these rig pullers to go up through the opening right here. And yeah, an overhead would be better, but I don't have one of those right now. Anyway, and grab that other loop and pull it through. And what you end up with is something like this. And then you pull that tight, and that gives you that spider loop, spider hitch, excuse me. So that gives me one of those, and then I'm just going to go further down the line. And these are going to, I'll come up with measurements later for a real rig. And again, I'm just trying to keep things short enough that I can do testing. So you've got, everything's doubled over, okay? So away from me, I'm going behind, I'm going around. So I've got the double over line in the back, double over line in the front, and then pulling it again. And I just pull it so that this gives me a barometer of how big the loop's going to be. So we've got that. And so it's gone back around this one. So you've got, again, like so. And then I start wrapping. And I go, all of the wraps come between the 2 posts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And every now and then I lose my number. I lose my grip, I should say. Okay, so we're back again. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. Go back up there. I'm basically using this like a crochet hook, just so I can pull my line through easily. And then kind of cinch that up most of the way. Pull it off of that post, and there's that. And what that does for me, and these aren't going to be as close as I'd like, but it keeps the loops fairly close in size. Okay. So we got that, and then this end will go down to your swivel. I don't care about that end because, or not swivel, sinker, because that is going to be the weakest part of the line. Anyway, I don't care, right? I don't care. I don't care. Okay, so let me turn my rig puller on. And normally you guys can see this, see it from the top. You can't. I understand that. Well, Reef Robber, I understand where you're at. Are y'all talking about them? Leave my brows alone. Well, thank you, Jody. Y'all are talking. I love it when you guys do that. Okay. David, stop it. Right here, walk now. Need you stop it. What's the in? Stop it. Stand in. He's like, well, what did I do? I don't use clear mono like that. It reflects light. Actually, this is not clear. This is steel blue. And there is any discussion to be had in this world. Does color of line matter? It amazes me. People will spend a ton of money, a ton more money on fluorocarbon line because it's less visible underwater. Less visible than what? So you can barely see it as much as you can barely see mono. But if you're in blue water, you need blue line. And the one I always love, this is the paradox that has freaked me out ever since it happened. And you have to be as old as David to understand and remember these. That's okay. And you just mentioned Cajun line. Gosh dog it. So red Cajun line came out. And the reason that you needed to get red Cajun line, because red is the first color that disappears underwater as far as fish go, as far as fish can see. But you needed to use the bleeding bait red hooks so the fish could see the red, because it looked like blood to the fish, and then or gills or anything else that's red. Wait, is red visible underwater or is it not? And we need to let's all get on a page. It doesn't have to be just the same hymnal would be nice. You don't have to be on the same page. There you go. Let's see. Hey, Reef Robber, good to see, good to see. Green mono for mainline. See, NJ, you're a young pup, so you get away with it. I used to be, like you, the moss green, that was my thing. And then as I learned I can't see anymore, high vis for mainline, then go for stuff you can't see as leader if you feel that you need to do that. For instance, y'all are going to get me off on tangents and we'll start insulting everybody on our sun. And that's okay, because I don't mind. I got 8 of you in here and 10 thumbs up. Thanks, everybody. If you see somebody you like here, can I look? I can. Most people that I know have channels and that I trust is bigger than anything else. Your blue folks are typically going to have channels. Your Pontoon Jody, your NJ Fishing Maniac, Rustic Outdoors, the Reef Robber, Fun Fishing Adventures. If I've missed anybody, it's because I'm a prick and I can't remember anything. They have channels. They're good folks. A lot of them do live streams regularly. They are good folks to have around. NJ Fishing Maniac is up in New Jersey. I know one of the biggest questions that comes up on his channel, where you at? NJ, I don't know. Navo, Johannesburg? No, New Jersey. He fishes for crappie and yellow perch and catfish and carp. Whatever makes him happy. Rustic is a catfish and carp kind of guy, but you'll catch him on crappie every now and then. Reef Robber he fishes for salmon, and there may be some trout up there. I forget. He's Pacific Northwest, and he fishes for crabs, or goes crabbing, whatever you want to call it. Fun Fishing Adventures, that's Scotty. He is in the middle of, he's somewhere, he calls it Southeast Missouri. I call it middle of Missouri, but that's because I consider St. Louis to be the top of Missouri, and it's not. He fishes for catfish mostly. He'll go after panfish. He'll go after anything that bites, just like the rest of us. Pontoon Jody, she's out of East Tennessee, fishes, I want to say Watts Bar, and I don't know. There's parts of the Tennessee River system over there. She fishes mainly for catfish, and she is the flathead queen of the world. Let's see. Yeah, that one, Dave, Red Cajun, Reef Robber. Washington Fishing Adventures. He's a younger guy. He's in Washington, and he has fishing, and he has his adventures. He does have a channel. I know that. Let's see. Red looks good on me. Thank you. Wait, NJ's Fishing Mania says, me too, bro. So you look good on me too? Okay, well, thanks. Thanks, Mark. You kind of cute yourself there, buddy. Let's see, where was I? Do a line a lot simpler and never lose flounder. I'm a complicated man. Okay, that is fair. That is fair, but I'm gonna explain it. Eyebrows on point. Yeah. Hyalopski. That's a. We're gonna need to buy some vowels in there, my friend. Mark loves to say that I look like the BTK killer, which is actually, since K is killer, it's just the BT killer. I don't know. Let's see. No wonder he doesn't catch fish. Leave me alone. What a beautiful man. Thank you, Jody. You kind of cute yourself, maybe. Let's see. Fluoro sinks faster than mono. See, I have not tested that. I don't care. They say that that fluorocarbon is more invisible. What? More invisible. It's more invisible under the water. It is supposed to either sink or float more than mono, whatever, and supposedly more abrasion resistance. Again, whatever. Well, Earl, I could try to catch fish, but you've seen me fish, and let's be honest, I'm going to catch as many sitting here at the desk as I would if I was outside. I need bounty paper towels. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Yes, they are good paper towels. Hey, Nikki, thanks for coming in. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button, folks, please do it, because if you don't, I have a memory like an elephant. I have an ass like an elephant. That's a whole nother issue. Good old pizza play. He is Italian. Jody does fish. She does. Italian and Croatian. Well, there you go. Jody wants to go with Earl. Okay, there you go. Let's see. Give Jody a hard time. I'm on a caucus. That's really not how you spell caucus, but that's okay. What kind of caucus are you on? So flooded right now, you got to fish in your pool. Rustic, well, that's a great thing. I mean, now you have waterfront property. Somebody said Dana's Raider, and I don't know who that is. Like monoliter for catfish, fluoro for everything else. Why? Let's see. April is usually one of my best months. Probably make videos. April. There we go. And NJ Fishing Maniac is making sexy faces at me. Okay. So why does this matter? Like I said, if I do the normal double dropper rig where I forget what that knot's even called. I think it's called the dropper loop. On 20-pound mono that has a breaking strength of about 28 pounds just by itself, the line breaks between 12 and 15 typically with that stupid knot. So what I've done is I've created these. These are miniature versions using that spider hitch. So let's see, we're on newtons. We'll go to pounds. We'll go to peak. So what I'm going to do here, so I've got 5 of these rigs here, and I want to show you guys because you have braid on your main line 100% of the time, doesn't matter what you fish for. So that's another difference of the saltwater folks down in Pensacola, down in Florida, whatever. It's weird because it seems like in the Gulf they use spinning gear, but on the Atlantic coast they use bait casters. So I picked up a bunch of spinning gear before I realized I didn't have to. And they use braid with shock leaders, which is usually about 3 times the length of the rod is, and they use like an FG knot. So what I'm testing here is I'm going to test 2 different pieces on these rigs. One is going to be the swivel and the first loop against each other, and then it's going to be loop against loop. And if you're following along at home, which is where I'm at, you're going to go, well, if the loop breaks on the first one, then you can't really test it against the second one. And that is true, which is why I'm going to crank these up to about 20 pounds before I stop cranking. And let's see. This one's a little short, so I'm going to put in one of my rig pullers like so to give it enough length to get where I need to go. We're not going to talk about length. Shush. Okay, so we're going to pull this, and I'm watching the counter. I got to 17.2 before something blew. And it was the trilene knot. Wasn't expecting that. Probably didn't tie it right. Leave me alone. Now we're going to go loop against loop, because that definitely should have been a 25-pound knot. But I make mistakes, and I may have just not tied it right. So loop against loop, and since I've already busted the other knot, I don't care. We'll let this go until something pops. $23.8. Okay, that's loop against loop. So we're going until the weaker of the two loops breaks, and this was that was the end that went to the swivel. So it broke right at the entrance exit to the knot. And the knot's still good, but of course it's not attached to anything, so it doesn't matter. So there's the first rig. 23.8 pounds. Again, out of a possible 28, maybe 29. And that dropper loop that I talk about doesn't get that far. It gets to, I'll go back and look a little more at my notes. And once again, this one's a little short. That's okay. We got ways around that. Zero it out. Give her a pull. I quit. So once again, trilene knot failed. Guess who's not tying trilene knots very well today? 17.3 or 8. I didn't pay attention. It was weak. So now we're going to go zeroed out. We're going to go loop against loop. $21.1. Hi. Where's shindig number 3? Shindig number 3 is right here. I'm not sure what I've done that's allowing my trilene knots to pop. Because they're usually, I've switched to trilene knots because of how strong they are. All right, zero it out. We're going trilene knot versus first loop. 23.9. Trilene knot broke again. But that's good. If the loops are holding up that far, so we already know that it gets to at least 23.9 on the first loop. So if it breaks before that, it's just built up stress, and that was built up stress. It got to 20.4. So I'm actually going to start with loop against loop so that they haven't had stress on them yet. But we're still getting, I think 19 point something was the lowest on the loops failing. 20.4. And I'm not going to be able to test the trilene knot because I heard it land over there somewhere. So we're getting at least 20 pounds strength out of these spider hitches. And that's actually close to what we got out of the surgeon's loop. The surgeon's loop gave a little bit more strength. And that's with a 4-twist surgeon's loop, not a 3. And let's see. I've done so much testing. It is redonkulous. That's the surgeon droppers. That's the 40-pound suffix. 40-pound crimps. Tested dropper loops on thicker line. Here, 20-pound big game mono dropper loops. Yeah, I can't see it to read it to you through the camera, but there they are. 20-pound big game mono dropper loops. 5 test, 15.9 pounds. The first one, the knot slipped. There was a 16.1 that the knot slipped. Otherwise, we got 18, we got 19.9, and 19.7. So actually, it did better than I remembered. But still, it's against 28 pounds of strength. And the worst part is, before I did any of this stuff on camera, I was testing it earlier. I was getting 23, 25 pounds. And then I turn the camera on and shit goes sideways. What else is new? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a good dropper loop type rig like what they use in Pensacola, and I have just not been happy, which I guess makes me dopey, or one of the other of the doors. Let's see if I've got my little peg in here. Probably shouldn't have used the word peg, but oh well. Okay. So this is a rig board for those double dropper rigs. And how that typically works. Just put your spool over here. Let's see how I can loosen this enough that I can show it. So I got my spool over here. And this one, the hole is about the same size as the peg, so it doesn't go all the way down and it doesn't spin very freely. It starts working itself down. So you go in front of this hook, and then we're going to come this way. We go behind. So this is where we have the 3 pegs in a series. We go behind the 2 that are closest to me, and then around to the one in front of me. And this is where we've gotten tight, like I was talking about. And let's see if I have. So then you kind of clamp your line on something. This is just what I have laying around, and it's not going to be a very good clamping exercise. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so it's over there. So back behind here on the back. This is where all the magic happens. So remember, we've got these doubled over. So what you do is you just twist these. So you go, count them in half twists. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll do 9 for giggles because 6 actually slips. Then you take the single piece of line, so this is, you've got the double string on the back and everything else of the triangle is single, and that hole that you've been twisting to make, you then take that single line from the top peg and you put it in there. You attach it back to the top peg, and then you just kind of pull these together like so. Lubricate the knot. So this is what's going to end up being where you put your hook and such, and you just pull these and tighten it up like so. So then what the guys down there do is that they grab a circle hook, and this is really going to start blowing people's minds, because remember what everybody in the catfish community says. It's like our mantra. You must go through the front of the eye, which they typically do. And you must use a snell knot, because otherwise you are not pulling them from the right place and you will lose fish. And what they do is they just use that cow hitch. They go through. The double line goes through the front of the eye, out the back, and then they just push the hook through it, and it creates the cow hitch. But we know we can't do that because it has to be around the shank. We have to pull from the shank of the hook, by golly. The shank. We must pull from the shank. We cannot pull from the top of the eye, because then it can just flip back and forth and do this. But that's how they do it. And they seem to have plenty of success. Now, what I don't like about the cow hitch knot is it wants to come loose, which means it wraps around, then it's going to wrap around like this. So, and then when you pull it tight, it's going to get one of the two lines in that crack, or the gap, where the wire is bent around to make the eye. Hey, Landon. Balloon knot. Whoa, Holmes. I'm not sure what balloon knot we're talking about unless you're talking to somebody else, which, may be the case. Let's see. You do mine different and faster. That doesn't surprise me. Long leader. Yes. How long is that? I mean, if you ask me, it's 12 inches, but let's use a ruler. So from the eye to the knot is 5¼ inches, the way this is set up. And then, of course, they build another one further down. And then at the bottom of the rig goes your sinker. And the top is your swivel. So that's how they do the double dropper rig. Well, I don't like this for so many reasons. One of those is the way that cow hitch comes loose. Now, what some people will do is, you just go through the back and then you do the cow hitch, but you do a second, go around it a second time. And they seem to think that helps. But you still have the bottom of the knot is at the base of the eye of the hook. Let me try pulling it to the top and see if it'll hold there. It actually does. No, it falls back down again as soon as there is any chance. So I hate that knot. And when you're using the rig board like this, you can actually go very, very fast. You really can. Right, Rustic, but remember, we can't use a loop like that. We have to go around the shank of the hook 87,000 times because we got to proof the shank of the hook. And we got to make sure we got that trigger action. So, when you got it like this, is there trigger action? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. So it's interesting. All of this is very interesting to me. And that's why I'm doing it. Like I said, I couldn't sleep last night. I got up in the middle of the night and started playing around with this crap. And I've had this thing for over a month, so it's not like it's my new toy. And I tell you this because I think that there's no thinking to it. I do not think I know more than anyone else. I know a whole lot less than most people. But I think that we've been told the same things long enough that we've accepted it as fact when maybe it's not. I mean, putting a cow hitch on a circle hook to me is no different than doing a Palomar knot. I mean, except the Palomar knot's better. But we can't, in the catfish community, you don't do that. You do not put you can't don't you dare put a Palomar knot on a circle hook. What are you, stupid? I mean, were you dropped on your head as a child? So to me, this is what's so interesting about all of this is as you look at the way different groups, different anglers, different species hunters, whatever you want to call it, do things, there are differences, and the things that we've been told all this time that it absolutely must be this way, it ain't really that way. I am not saying that one group is right and one group is wrong. We can both be somewhat right and somewhat wrong, right? I mean, that's how it works. I am looking to build the strongest rig because if we're switching lines because we're worried about how visible it is underwater, then shouldn't the first thing we look at be the diameter of the line? I mean, it doesn't matter, if it's the most invisible line ever, if it's, an inch in diameter, right? So that's why I'm looking at things. I'm trying to get the most out of our tackle. I don't even remember where I saw it, but it was so awe-inspiring that it was one of those train wrecks. And I'm sure everybody here at some point in our life has been explaining something and then went, wait just a damn minute. What? What did I just say? So, let me grab some of this titanium. So suffix line, for those who don't know, it's actually made by Rapala or Rapala. Take your pick, don't care. That's the name of it. Rustic says mid-Saskatchewan. Oh, I vouch for going in and out of the eye of the hook. Had one rod, kept missing a fish, take down and runs. Finally, it came out the back of the eye. Okay. So I'm not saying that there's only one right answer. And the other question can definitely be, was it a straight eye hook, like so, or was it one that's bent back? If it's bent backwards, then I can absolutely see how, you're pulling forward from an angle. Yeah, I can see how that would definitely not help. So one of the things I don't remember where I saw it or what was said, but we're using peg floats or demon dragons or whatever we're doing, because what that does on a Santee rig is it brings the bait up off the bottom so that it looks more natural. Looks more natural. You got a Zara spook on there, it's rattling. You do this so it looks more natural. It looks more natural. So let's talk about looking more natural. Now, I am the world's worst about this, so I'm not insulting anybody any more than I'm insulting myself. Please understand that. But we'll get a fish, and we will make just the most beautiful cuts on it, vertical cuts. I mean that. If we want a 1-inch square piece of bait, by golly, we've made a 1-inch square, and it's got nice sharp corners. When's the last time you think a catfish was rolling around the bottom of it? Ooh, look, I don't want to eat this piece of bait because it's a little raggedy. Now, this one that's got perfectly squared corners, that's my piece of bait. When a striper or a white bass or something comes after a shad and he pops it, except that his teeth don't work this well and he misses it. Well, so what happens is he's damaged that bait, right? He hit it. He possibly killed it. He may have gotten part of it. He didn't get all of it. So it falls down. And it falls down to 5 inches off the bottom and stands there at attention because that's natural. Hell no, it falls to the bottom. That's where it's going to fall. I'm not saying that bringing your bait up doesn't make it more visible to the fish. I'm not saying it doesn't make it more attractive because he doesn't have to dig through the muck and the mud on the bottom. I'm not saying any of that. But to say that your presentation is more natural, hi. Hey, Wildcat Rigs, appreciate you. Take the loop, go through the back of the hook eye, bring it back through the eye again, then go over the pull tight, give that. All right. Rustic just challenged me. Okay. Comer Skeeter. All right. We got us our eye. Okay. Take that loop, go through the back of the hook eye. There's the back, right? That's what I call it back. So I'm going to put that loop through the back. If I can get it to compress enough, go through the back. Bring it back, go through the eye again. Rusty's just laughing at the fact that I can't get this done. All right. Bring it close to me so I can see. So we're gonna go through there. We've gone through the back once. We're gonna go through the back again twice. Apparently, I should have used a bigger hook eye. And then put the hook through. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you want me to pull it up so it's not doing the cow hitch if possible. How many fingers does it take you to do this, Rustic? Every time I think I've got decent manual dexterity, then something like this comes along and I go, I ain't got shit. All right. So we got that. And then we went back down. Let's see. Use whole mackerel when striper fishing, natural to a degree. I don't know. Is mackerel natural in those waters? You know what I hate? My face? Crimped hooks. What the wuck is a crimped hook? Hey, Tropical Rodet. Good afternoon, avid angler and kind to all. With a pirate flag. You know what kind means, but that's okay. Appreciate you coming in, man. If anyone needs a sleeping aid, kiss my ass, Scotty. Damn, bro. Where they crimp the line. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so Rustic. I want you to know I'm not picking on you. You know I'm not picking on you, right? We agree on that. And you saw me tie this dropper loop. So actually, I'm not even going to bother testing because I was going to say, because I can test and see if this is stronger. It doesn't matter if it's stronger or not. Because every single damn time that I've tested this, it breaks right here at the top of that dropper loop. Or the bottom, one of the two, but usually the top. So I don't need more strength at the hook. Because unless I'm trying to avoid the hook cutting it. Because it gets between the bend there. Hey, Doc Bunny. You're a hippie. Nothing wrong with that. I read it. I just didn't want... Oh, hang on. Please watch live streams, fall asleep, plus you can help us watch it. Dang it, Scotty. Thank you. I am over 2,700 as of the 3rd or 4th or something. According to the earn button, I'm over 3,000 according to the normal button, but they're different. Crimp all of your rigs, use hybrid snell, and have had 0 thrown hooks or lost fish. Your Honor, I call bullshit. I call bullshit. Hang on, let me... Hello, bullshit? Yeah, how you doing? Okay, I'm messing with you, Tropical, but I'm going to explain why. You don't know if you've missed a fish. Now, you can say that you haven't had one come unbuckled. I'll give you that. And so, but there's a lot of times where you don't hook up for whatever reason. And I am going to give away my $1 million idea here. I've been holding this in my back pocket, but I'm just too cheap to get it patented. I'm going to grab one of my big hooks here. Well, of course, it's attached to every damn thing on 12 different rigs. I do not understand this, and I'm going to explain it to you. Okay? Thankfully, it's an inline circle, so it's not going to bite me too bad. This is the way hooks are. Now, I have seen... what are they? Single crankbait hooks that actually do this, but I haven't seen it on circle hooks. And I don't understand this. Okay, so here I am the fish, right? I have pulled all this down into my gut, or at least in the back of my mouth. I'm chewing on it. So I'm going to pull it, right? So if I pull it, it's going to want to come the flattest part of the hook. which then means that somehow I have to turn and rotate and get into the corner of the mouth. So why is this just the eye, not bent, just twisted 90 degrees so that it's in line with the point, right? So that all of this is in the same plane, because you've got to get this hunk out of the fish. And when you do it, I mean, the fish is going to be biting down like this, is how I think it works. And maybe that's how you get it to rotate to the side. I don't know. But it just seems like, if you could get it to come out this way and the hook already be facing one side, but then I guess it could be facing the other and you could actually just do like this and pull it straight up. I don't know. Yeah, the 90 degree or most people say that's called an octopus hook, but then I've heard other people say octopus just talks about the bend down here, not the eye. Because I think it's Gamakatsu. One of the major brands actually has octopus hooks that have a straight up eye. I don't know. Yeah, people give rigs that won't catch a fish. Sometimes they leave 6 inches of line off the hook before they crimp it. 6 inches. Oh, so I'm going to visualize this for everybody. Okay. So I believe what Jody is saying, other than Mike, you're a fat idiot who needs to get a life, is that instead of crimping the hook really close to the eye, that they're crimping it way up here. Now, again, even if you crimp it right next to the eye, you still are allowing the hook to do this, which we can't do because it has to be firmly planted in place so it can't move around, because otherwise you aren't getting the trigger action of the hook. Knots are not stronger than crimps. Wildcat. Hang on, sunshine. She's not wrong about people. So crimps are actually not as easy as they sound. One, you've got to start with the right size crimp, which is the absolute smallest one that will work. If you use too big a one, you're just making a mess. Metal and plastic don't mix. There's more strength at the hook. Knots are not stronger than crimps. Okay. We're going to talk. Okay. And Wildcat, I don't think that you ever had to deal with me before. I'm a smart ass. But I am here to learn. I don't think I know more than anybody. I am here to share data. Now, I actually have a pull test. I think it's on 100-pound mono with a crimp, and it fails at around 70 pounds. The first thing for cat fishermen, who the hell cares? We're not putting 70 pounds of pressure on to begin with. The other thing that this linear actuator can't do, so it's going to go at a steady pull, right? It's just going to pull. Your fish don't do that. They don't just go zzz. You've got the line, if you're using mono, that's going to stretch. You have the rod tip that's going to take a lot of the energy. You have the drag on the reel. You've got so many factors that are not even being attempted to be simulated here, right? With this rig puller. Another thing is, like I say, it doesn't just pull until it breaks. It doesn't just do a steady pull. It flops around and does all kinds of stuff. So the fact that a crimp gives out at a lower pull strength than a knot in lower diameter lines. Well, first off, it's almost impossible to find anything that will fit like a 40-pound mono, right? I can't find crimps that small. The thicker the line is, especially mono, right? That's what I'm talking about. The worse it is at holding a knot. because you start playing with 100-pound mono and you've got this knot that is a conglomeration of pure ugliness that does not hold well. You pull, okay, Wildcat, you pulled your car that weighs 2,600 pounds. It does not take 2,600 pounds of pulling force, which I'm sure you know because you're sitting there talking about it being a 150-pound rig. So you know that you're not getting 2,600 pounds of force out of it. When you have thicker mono, and this is a function of plastic line, nylon, whatever you want to call it, of anything. Think of taffy, right? You get this piece of taffy. You pull it, what happens? It gets thinner in the center. Well, the same holds true for mono. You pull and it's gonna keep pulling until it gets to that point where it can't, right? Because you've got it crimped around there. So it's gonna pull and then it's gonna get thinner and it can move. I promise you this. I've got a video on my channel about it. I am not saying you're wrong. Please understand, I'm not saying you're wrong. What I am saying is that crimps do slip, and if you could find a crimp in 40-pound mono, it is my belief that a knot would have more of a linear pull strength before failure than a crimp, because as it stretches, it thins out and then becomes a smaller diameter and therefore can slip the crimp. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Ashley. Bobcat, I am not telling anybody's wrong except you. Bobcat's wrong about me saying I'm wrong, right? Hey, Daniel Garcia. We learn from each other. I don't know it all. I don't know most of it. I don't know it. All I can provide is data points. Think of me as the news from when we were growing up. I am giving you information. I am not telling you how to digest it. Now they want to tell you how to digest the news. I am not qualified to say that this is better than that. I am qualified to say I've run this test and this performed better in this test because I've done it. I can document that, right? I'm saying that there are things that I'm not even saying that he didn't think about it, but maybe other people in here are hearing the information and maybe didn't think about. Because it's a lot. This rig tester thingamajiggy that I got here is amazing. Wildcat, I'll argue. I won't even argue. I would say 60-pound line is maybe closer than 80. I don't know. But you bring up a very good point. 60 is still, anybody who's tried to tie 100-pound mono, Lord, God bless you. You're not doing a Palomar knot. And I've looked for other knots. I've done a lot of research as far as doing all these knot strength tests and stuff. And one of them is the Centauri knot. And I tried it and I'm like, this thing blows. Whereas I can take a trilene knot and get 26 pounds of strength out of a line that breaks at 28 pounds. It's rated for 20. So I'm expecting the Centauri, if the line doesn't break until over 114, I think is what the max of this pull tester is, then I would think I should get at least 100 pounds out of a knot. At least. And I'm not. So tying knots in thicker mono is almost a fool's errand. Not that it can't be done. It's just not fun. But I think one of the hardest things to accept as we learn, right? We're all learning as we go through life. I don't know about you guys. I was the smartest SOB when I was 16 years old. I knew everything, and I've gotten dumber every year since because I've learned things that I didn't even know, right? Granny panties are the win. Hey, words. Your favorite high-low rig came from down east. I don't. Oh, is that a down east tackle? Get Wildcat on tore up. I am not trying. I am not trying to. I am not messing. I'm not picking on Wildcat. I'm glad you're here, brother. I truly am. Welcome to not only my channel, but these other folks that are just awesome, amazing people. Let's see. Ashley Brady, how you doing? Daniel Garcia, I know I said hi to you. How you doing here? Bobby Roadkill. Buy my crimps at the dollar store. The dollar store didn't have crimps. You catch thousands. Wildcat, I am not, like, I'm not insulting you, my friend. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I know more than you. I can use my experience. Okay. And one of the things that I think we all want is, let's say that we're teaching our kid or our new significant other or whatever how to fish. Wouldn't it be nice if you could go, this is how you tie the XYZ knot. This is the only knot you need to know. This knot works with 4-pound mono. It works with 80-pound braid. It works with 150-pound mono. And it doesn't work that way. We all know that, right? So I absolutely agree with you. At some point, there is a time when you want to switch to crimps. Here's an example. Oh, you know Wildcat? Oh, wow, there you go. Let's see. Everybody's smooching but me. Bobcat uses the lure box. Jody wears a thong. Oh, how you doing, Zona? Rusty does wear some. You know, I'm waiting for it to get warmer out there because I miss seeing NJ Fishing Maniac out there in his muscle shirts with the deep cuts way down that, you know, show off side boob and stuff. Bobcat doesn't wear underwear. Okay. Wildcat. So this particular, it says it goes to 100. Actually, it goes to 500 newtons, which I think is 110 pounds, but I've gotten up to 114. It's a pull tester. And then I've got a linear actuator that's supposed to go at about 0.7 inches per second, which is one of the faster ones and inexpensive. So this whole little rig cost me about $100, not including the battery, to the 12 volt to run it. So I've got a 12-inch reach actuator, so it has 12 inches of movement. I got the little pull tester, and I realize that this is consumer grade stuff. This is not industrial calibration and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely get that. Captain Steve's offshore live stream is where we met. Here's pushback. Hours learn. Appreciate you, Trop Cool. I don't recognize Captain Steve offshore, but that doesn't mean anything. I do go to different streams as my normal people aren't around. And dumb as a rock. James, take the way you tie off cleat to a dock. You know, once you learn how to actually attach a cleat properly, it's really cool because it locks itself up. You size nip, yeah, there you go. Fig Newtons are nasty. When they call them cookies, I'm like, cookies taste good, not like fucking tobacco. Okay, there we go. Stopped using knots after you lost 100-pound. Could get it on the boat, no time to gaff it, and the snell knot broke. Okay, I am going to show you something, Wildcat, that I hope blows your mind. Because it sure did mine. All I've got is the Ben Eye hook to do this with. Let me grab... let's see, where's my... There's There's my 100-pound offshore angler line. Okay, when I started doing this testing, I was absolutely sure that the no-knot snell was a piece of junk knot. So to help with the no-knot snell, cut off a piece of this, like show it to you. And let me tell you, this tight line offshore angler 100-pound mono, you could almost use as weed or where. I wish this had a straight eye, but it doesn't matter. So you put it through the front of the eye like so. Whichever side does not have the break in it, you go around the solid side, so you wrap it from the top. And you can argue how many times you want to do it. I would say at least 6, 7. And then you run it back through the back of the eye. So there is no knot. The downside to this knot is that your mono wants to loosen up and do this number. I've never actually had one come all the way undone. You can tie the egg loop knot instead, which starts off this way and then just adds a couple more turns with the standing end under there. This knot, I don't have any really good 100-pound swivels. That's the problem. In everything I've tested up to 60-pound, the line literally breaks before the knot does. And I don't mean right here at the knot. I mean somewhere else. Maybe less than 10% of the time will the knot actually fail. Now, if you use a uni knot to snell it, or you use, I've tried 4 or 5 different other variations, and they are not as strong. I mean, they're like, I was flabbergasted by how weak the uni knot is. This, once I couldn't break this knot, I started trying to reverse engineer and figure out why. So, if we push the tag end upward, if we can get it to do it, that is this piece right here. And that piece blocks that cut part of the where the hook comes and bends around to meet, the wire comes around and meets itself. So it keeps the standing end that goes to your rig from ever being able to get to that spot and get cut. Step number 1. Now, on the other hand, if you drag it down further and do the exact same knot, right? Not as many wraps, but that's just me. And you use a double hook rig, and you put the other one down here, it will break here because there's no cushion for the tag end. So it will break. But as far as the standing end for the first hook, no, it just doesn't. I've had astounding results. I mean, that I did not expect. Now, again, I can't talk for the 150, 250 pound line that you're using, but I can tell you that I was floored that I thought this was an easy knot to tie and was probably a junk knot, but everybody used it because it was easy. The other thing is, so if you follow the standing end down, it comes from the side. Where we at? So it comes from the side, so it can never ever get down into that area that we talked about where the hook bends around, the wire bends around on itself to create the eye. And as you pull on it, it pulls from the bottom of this, and you've got these coils can all compress a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm not saying they compress a whole lot, but that gives you some shock absorption. And just, I was blown away by how good this knot is for a knot that isn't even a knot. I don't know what you can test with, but you talked about a snell knot breaking. If you can break this at the snell, you are a hell of a man. Because, like I said, almost every time the line's going to break first, and if it does break in here, I put that down to that was where the weak spot of the line was. Now, a Palomar knot, at least 9 times out of 10 is going to break at the knot before the line breaks. It's going to break where it enters the knot usually. This is, if I want to test against, like if I wanted to put a trilene knot on this end and test the strength of the trilene knot, I'm using this on the other end because I know this is not going to fail. It's amazing. It is truly amazing to me. And you know, with the type of line you use, I get it. I absolutely get it. What area are you out of, Wild Hook? And this is a joke, so please don't get mad. Is your name Brock Horner? Oh, I feel bad for that guy because I can see myself doing something maybe not quite that stupid, but pretty close. And his life has gotten wrecked over what I assume was him trying to teach a little whippersnapper some damn manners. I'm not taking his side, but I also can't. When I found out that Gage was 22 years old, I'm like, you know, for as many times as you said I'm just a kid, sorry, that don't fly when you're 22. And I wasn't there for what transpired for any of it. And I don't have any proof of what happened earlier in that day, but that could have gotten really ugly. I know it was. Okay. Thank you, Wildcat. I want to show you something. Because I have hated this knot since the first time I saw it. For two things. One, you've got to have the standing end available. So you can't just take a rig and, you know, cut off the hook and put a different hook on, right? Because you got to have the standing end available. Okay, so, and I avoided this knot because I didn't need it. Because, I've heard of the egg loop knot. I didn't need it. I'm not using eggs. So you do exactly like you've been doing, right? Okay. You put the standing end through just a little bit. You take, so you get your tag end and you got your standing end right here. And this is the part that you've been wrapping. And you go another 3 or 4 times around. Okay. And on thicker line, you kind of have to work it because it's going to have some kinks in it. But you don't want the kinks to come up through there. And you do like so. You pull that tight. That's your egg loop knot. And that's so you can put your egg here. But what it does is it secures the standing end. So you can, here, I'll just take it out. Take the entire standing end out of the eye to begin with. There you go. It's not coming loose. It's not unwrapping. It can't. So one of my viewers, when I was, he said, does the same strength hold true for the egg loop knot since it starts off as basically a no-knot snell? So I tested it like, oh, I found my new favorite knot because it fixes one of the two problems, and that is that it can come loose and it doesn't come loose anymore. So while I have no use for the egg loop portion of the knot, I love the fact that it puts a standing end in there, and I have done preliminary tests. I need to do more, but it seems to be just as strong as, or at least very, 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 very close to the no-knot snell, and you don't have the issue that you were just talking about. Hey, Lonnie, thanks for coming in, my friend. Good to have you in here. Jerry Hager, I think I said hi. I meant to if I didn't. Good to see you. Nova Scotia. Oh, you're going to be the 51st state unless Greenland becomes the first. I'm sorry. That probably is not funny to people who have to listen to that nonsense. There are presidents that leave office and you're like, what did they even do? And the current one, I'm like, could you slow down a little bit? You don't have to do everything in the first 3 days. That's just me. Sorry. I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to argue politics, for damn sure. But I've only been to Canada once, and that was last year at Toronto. And I had poutine, which I didn't think was as great as I was hoping it would be. It sounded really good. I mean, French fries, gravy, and cheese curds. I mean, how does that not just the greatest things to sliced bread? It was decent, but it was probably the place that I had it. It wasn't that great. Throw some chili in there too. Yeah. See what's funny? Again, I'm going to try to stay politics adjacent here. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. They could become a state if they voted to become a state. But you know what? They get all the benefits of being a state without all the taxation. At least not sending it to the feds. So why in God, I mean, yeah, they don't. Do they get to vote? I don't think they get to vote. They may, I forget. I don't think so. No, they don't. So maybe that's something, but I'm like, wait, I can get all the laws of the U.S. and not have to pay the taxes? Yeah. I don't really understand what cheese curds are. And I will tell you, I agree with you on mozzarella has to be melted before it tastes right. Cold mozzarella is effectively string cheese, and it's like, this is kind of like waxy and not a lot of taste. But then you throw some crust under there, throw some pizza sauce on it, like, ooh, this is good. It's some good stuff. Guys, I got 12 of you in here. I've got 18 of you have thumbed up it. I'm sure many of you have thumbed your nose up at me. I appreciate you guys. I truly do. I can barely keep. You've seen me trying to keep up, and I don't know how people like NJ Fishing Maniac do it. It's I can either do something or I can keep up with chat. You really can't do both. Taxes here 15%. Is that income tax? Is that sales tax? Because in the U.S. we've got federal income tax, we've got sales tax, we've got property tax for like real estate and stuff. Some states have personal property tax that covers things like vehicles. You have to pay that every year. Of course, other ones just have registration fees that are flat. Doesn't matter what kind of vehicle you have. You get the local sales tax, you got the state sales tax, you get the income tax, you get security tax, you got the Medicare tax, you got the, most states have a state income tax. We're taxed to death. And I think, I realize this doesn't make sense. The police and fire and all those services have to come from somewhere. The money has to be paid somewhere. But to me, if the American dream is to own your own home, once you've paid taxes on it, when you bought it, I don't care if it has to be sales tax and it's figured into the loan and all that kind of stuff, fine. But there should be a point where I can retire, sit on my own piece of land for the rest of my life, and if I don't move, it doesn't cost me a penny. Yeah, that's not 15%. Oh, sales tax. Yeah, you make $2,000 a week, you bring home $1,150. Whew. That's rough. Now, of course, it depends on what comes out of that. I mean, we have our payroll taxes, we have the Social Security, we have the Medicare, we have federal income tax, we have benefits, that our portion of benefits, whether it be life insurance or health insurance or our 401k or Roth IRA or whatever. So Yeah, I get it. Highest tax province. Let's see. Where'd you say you were? I want to say Saskatchewan, and that's not right. Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia. It's not Ontario, Nova Scotia. It's not Quebec. I guess Nova Scotia is Nova Scotia, isn't it? I think Quebec is the one that they said. So there's Manitoba, there's Quebec, I've got some coworkers up in Canada, and I can't remember if it's Ontario that's taxed up or if it's Quebec, but one of the two is taxed very heavily. It's also interesting for people who don't know anything about Canada, and I can't verify this, it's what one of my Canadian coworkers told me, that basically like 90% of Canada's population lives within 100 miles or kilometers or something of the U.S. border. So Upper Canada is very sparsely populated, which, can make sense. You have to go get ready for a date night. Wish you luck. What time is our date? Who are you going out with? Wait, who? You cheating on me? I mean, if Ashley were here, I'd be getting my ass kicked right now, but that's the whole other issue. Date night. You going fishing is what you doing, chick. I know what you're doing, because you ain't. It's 6:36, which is 7:36 in your area. You're getting ready to go fishing. That's not a date unless you're farming with some brown chickens and brown cows. Normal 3-bedroom bungalow used to be $174 before COVID. $750. Oh my Lord. So I live in Memphis, or outside of Memphis, and my property has almost doubled in the last 6 years. I'm in a almost 2,000 square foot brick house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It'd probably sell right now for $350K. It's storming. We went through that last weekend. Poor Ashley ran a 50, I think it was a 53K. Maybe it was just a 50K. I don't know. There's a lot of Ks. It was supposed to be a trail race, or trail marathon. It's more than a marathon. Marathon is 26.3 miles. This was over 32 or 33. They had to move it to the local park that was adjacent there to paved trails. And even then, she had a 2-hour shelter-in-place order during the worst part. And, I mean, the finish line was actually a creek at that point. Yeah, Wildcats, I hadn't seen saltwater since I was a kid, and I'd never fished saltwater until a couple of years ago. My fiance's parents have a house in Pensacola, and so we go there a couple times a year. And I have the saltwater bug, and I still have not caught anything notable other than like a 2-foot Atlantic nose shark, which is not really notable. I've caught a keeper permit and a keeper bluefish, a couple of keeper bluefish. But I have not caught a snook, a keeper sea trout, a sheep's head, a black drum, a red drum, a grouper of any kind, a barracuda, a Spanish mackerel. I haven't caught any of those. I've caught catfish. But saltwater to me is so incredible. The fish, it's amazing because these fish have nowhere to hide unless they can get into a bay or an estuary or something like that. But if they're in the Gulf proper, all they do is get blown around by the waves all day. And they're strong. They have a lot of fight in them. I have not even gotten a decent jack crevalle. I thought they were small pompano, but I think when I look back, they were probably jack crevalles that I caught. which are actually Creval jacks, but I finally just accepted that if it's an amberjack, if it's a this jack, if it's a that jack, then it has to be a Creval jack, which is technically correct. Everybody calls them Jack Creval, so I'll shut up and not accept it. Hey, Angie, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. I missed you earlier. I saw it was either yesterday or this, maybe the last. I forget. Either yesterday or today you went live and I missed you, and I'm sorry. I had to be in the office and stuff. Fished about an hour and then stormed. Yeah. So Wildcat. Everybody here is going to laugh at this because we all have been through this. You know, one of the reasons that people hunt is I can take one 50-cent bullet and I can have meat for a season. And the reason we fish is because I can go catch my own fish and you know, I can get a hook and a night crawler and I can eat. A cost per pound is so absurd for all of us. To the point of ridiculousness. And I do want to get out on a party boat. I'll spend, you know, $150, $200. I'm not spending $600 or $800 on a charter. I can't catch enough fish during that charter trip to justify that amount of money. Now, if I were learning something, then we've got a better argument. But if we're just out in the middle of who knows how we're out there chasing tuna, as an example, and you know I don't catch a lot of tuna, then I spent a lot of money and I've gotten the enjoyment out of it. I've got the experience out of it, but I didn't bring home a few 100 pounds of tuna, right? Now, on the other hand, we'll go with Catfish Guides. So Catfish Guides, last time I paid any attention, about $400 for a 4 to 6 hour trip. Man, that's expensive. That's $100 an hour? Okay. So I look at the insurance and registration that I pay for my boat that sits in my garage most of the time. Most of the time. A lot of most of the time. The upkeep, the maintenance, the gas, the everything. When you get on one of these, so I am, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not down in charters because I look at it and I'm like, you know, if I went out during just beautiful times, great fishing times, twice a month on a catfish charter or catfish guide trip, it'd be cheaper. I don't have to buy. I don't have to buy cast nets. I don't have to buy rigs. I don't have to buy equipment. I have to show up with something to drink, something to eat. A life jacket would be nice and a fishing license. That's it. I don't have to drag the boat anywhere. I don't have to worry about getting a flat tire with the boat. I don't have to worry about the power head blowing on the boat. I've had a power head blow on a motor. Thank God it was replaced under warranty. It only cost me like $800 to get the power head redressed versus $5,000 for the power head itself. 600-pound billfish, 5-hour fight. Yes, if I can keep the fish. And that's, I realize, I don't understand people. Here's my example. In Florida, it is illegal to keep Goliath grouper. I think they're easing that a little bit, but they have to be small ones. These guys go out and chase the 500-pounders and drag them up from the depths. So, you know, they get to the top of the water and their swim bladder is coming out of their mouth. Their eyes are popped out and they know they can't keep the fish. They just wanted to fight it. And I'm like, are we not damaging that fish? I'm going conservation on you. I'm not going PETA, right? It seems to me, and I go about targeting. That's where there's a difference between I was trying to catch, I don't know, whatever's legal to catch, and I hooked onto something different. But they're going out to get hold of these 500 pounders they can't even legally bring in the boat, and they know it. It seems like we're not being good stewards of the environment. And Wildcat, I absolutely appreciate the offer. I truly do. I don't know what I would do with a bluefin tuna. I'm not a tuna guy. I if you took me out fishing, doing what you do, tuna, billfish, that kind of stuff, I would learn nothing. And I say that because I assume you're probably using flashers and trolling at speeds that I don't comprehend. And I it's not the type of fishing I do. And I would love to do it. I'm not saying that there's no value there. I'm saying that I wouldn't learn anything. I would take away an experience. I would not take away additional, hey, I can go do this myself. Thank you, Wildcat. I didn't want to say it that way. But that's kind of what I thought, that, that we definitely have a mortality issue. I'm not saying they all die, but fishing where that the sharks are going to get the fish before you ever get it into the boat. Sharks have to eat too, but at the point where you've done this 6 times, and every time the shark bites off half of it before it gets to the boat, maybe move. If you ever want to catch a 500-pound Goliath grouper legally and keep it, then we ought to leave them the hell alone for a while and let them get their numbers up. They're amazing. Here's my example. I was out on my kayak down in the Intercoastal Waterway down in Pensacola, and I saw 2 fins come out of the water. And I'm like, shark! And I'm casting over there, not knowing what I'm going to do if I actually hook into the shark. Realize it's 2 dolphins. Like, reel that son of a bitch in quick. I don't want to catch those. I don't want to catch a dolphin. I can't keep it. I can't take it home as a pet. James won't get up. Should I keep? No, ma'am. Hell. Look at me, Jody. Hell no. My ex-wife turned off my CPAP a few times while we were married because she thought I was in bed too long. That, if you found the right prosecutor, that could, with a huge stretch, be considered attempted murder. Again, huge stretch. But you want to piss him off, that'll do it. What happens? Well, we will know because we're used to that air blowing into us. Are we going to wake up choking? Possibly. Are we going to die? Almost guaranteed not. People have died from sleep apnea, though. Please, Russian music. That's probably more Asian. Sorry. I guess Russia steps. What? Please, Russian music. I don't know how to help you, brother. I don't. I don't. What about a fat guy in a red shirt with this beautiful microphone and a bunch of stickers on the board behind him makes you think I give a shit about Russian music? Hey, Aaron, have I fished in England? No, I haven't even fished in New England. I fished in an area that used to be owned by England, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, but hammerhead sharks are an example of, I could be fishing for sharks. I can't pick what hits my bait, right? If a hammerhead's in the area, if a great white's in the area, if a shark nose, if a bull shark, if they're all going to eat the same stuff for the most part. So, and Florida is really cool to a degree. There are certain species of sharks that you cannot take their gills out of water legally. You need to cut the leader off as close to the hook as you can, cut the hook if you can, and let them go. Kind of like the guys that surf fish down in the Gulf for pompano, pompano, whiting, shark, bluefish, jack. There's a whole plethora of things that they can catch catfish, of course. And so, but it's when you're, and how do you argue that you're targeting something? I guess when you go on camera and go, hey, we're going to go see if we can get some Goliath grouper today, 500-pound range, then you get that. And that sharp nose that I caught, I cheated. I did not know that I could have kept that fish, but it was small enough, and I thought that I could get the hook out of him. I would rather leave him without the hook in his mouth. So I pulled him out of water enough that I could do that, and immediately released him. I didn't do pictures and all that kind of fun stuff. The only pictures that I actually got was while I was actually working with the fish. It blows my mind that, if you catch a great white, you have to release it, because everybody's scared of great whites since Jaws. And saltwater species are so difficult. Any of you freshwater only guys, it's so daunting, because, if you catch a bullhead and you call it a catfish, who cares, right? If you catch a red horse sucker and call it a carp, okay, who cares? The regulations are basically the same, right? Is where I'm going with that. But there are so many saltwater species that look alike to me, that, and there's so many different fish you can catch. It's like, it's daunting. Fortunately, I typically don't keep fish, but it really is. It's like, when I caught a permit, I thought it was a pompano. They look a lot alike. Jack Crabal to me look a lot alike. They all look alike. They have very small scales. They look like their skin. They have skin instead of scales. That's what it looks like. They have similar body shapes. There's the nuances that people who fish all the time know, but as somebody that's coming from out of the area, it is my duty to know. I absolutely accept that. I go back and forth on regulations, right? If people are out there intentionally poaching, I want them thrown under the jail. If I legitimately thought that, it was 12-inch total length, not 12-inch fork length, and I got a 12.5-inch total length, but 11.5-inch fork length, I feel like there should be some grace. But then how do you tell the guy who really doesn't know and made an honest mistake versus the guy that was just trying to keep short fish? I don't know. Hammerheads are usually a good clip from the beach. I'm sure you've seen well, actually, I'm not sure you've seen the video. If you do any kayaking, I'm sure you've seen the video of a guy. I think the title of it is, "This is why I do not fish from a kayak anymore." He had, I think, multiple hammerheads that were just coming right up to his kayak. It was clear water. He's trying to, bash him with the paddle. He just, I can see where he'd be scared that they could have dumped him, but a hammerhead can't eat you. Not without a lot of work. They don't eat humans. They're not built to, like a great white, to just come up and on you. But still, you start seeing, 6-8 foot shark next to you. There's some puckering coming up. Absolutely. 21 thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I don't know why any of you are listening to me. I wouldn't listen to me. But let me tell you, Wildcat, I am so glad you're here. I'm glad that you came in. I'm not exactly Not sure how I caught you, but I'm glad you're here. It's always good to see new faces, and I've appreciated the information that you shared, and I hope that you, I won't say appreciate like are thankful for, but appreciate my position on some of these things where, like I say, I don't have the answers. I have some pieces of data, and it bothers me because, like I say, I could test this rig 5 times and get 25 pounds out of it, and then I tested on camera and it's like 16. Like, what the hell? And if you think that I'm lying about how much, that's all. That's not even all the mono. That's probably the past day's worth of mono from rigs that I have made and tested and broken and yeah, and that's plenty of it that didn't actually make it in there. So I like to talk about stuff. One of the things that I like to talk about is not just the things that are fishing, but fishing adjacent or YouTube adjacent. Well, I guess YouTube is fishing adjacent for a lot of us. This DJI Mic Mini. I'm sponsored by nobody. I try not to pay full price for anything, but it's the same deals that are available to everybody. I'm not getting, there's no, they don't know me from Adam. So what I can tell you, this is at least the 5th wireless microphone set I've played with. It's $169. It's not cheap. It comes with 2 transmitters, 1 receiver, which is hooked into my phone. They have clips on the transmitters, the microphones, and they also have a magnet. Now the clip does not come off, the magnet can, so you can just put, on the inside of your shirt. See, this is my Bluetooth one, so keep it over here. So this one is paired to my DJI Osmo Action 4, so I don't have to use the receiver piece. If you have the right phone, I thought it was just that it had to be on the go, and that's not the case. It's more than just being on the go compatible. It will do pass-through charging, meaning that you can plug the power cable into the receiver, and the receiver plugs into your phone, so it charges your phone while it does all that. Oh, you set aside some hooks for me? Okay. Yes, I realize that offshore angler is probably not the best out there, but I'm a budget guy, which is why odd that I'm talking about this microphone. One thing that I love about this, I've got everything is self-contained. This is the charger. It has a battery in it. It charges these things 3.6 times a piece. There's 10 or 11 hours of battery power between the transmitter and the receiver without plugging into anything. It comes with the wind muffs. The wind muffs, they come off, I promise. Forget exactly how. It comes with the black ones and the gray ones, and it's the only camera system, microphone system, that with the wind muff, you can close it. I've got another one with wind muff. They're the round, just the little round, flat guys. The wind muff that comes with it covers the whole thing. You can't see the buttons. You can't see the lights when you put the wind muff on. Plus, it's not easy to get on there, and you have to take it off to charge it, and a lot of other things. So, I'm real happy with this, but if the phone that I have doesn't work with it, and mine do, but I've tried a couple other phones that did not with the pass-through charging, then I can't use it because I will lose the ability to do longer live streams. If you want to try a test and be consistent, try Momo High Catch. So, I appreciate the information. The lines that I use, so I use Berkeley Trilene Big Game. I know it's not the thinnest. I know it's not the most supple or whatever you want to call it. I know it's not the this or that, but it's cheap. And I'll be honest with you. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. Finding 100-pound mono was not easy. Finding, it's like, oh, Bass Pro has some. Hey, I'll take it. Because I wanted something. And like I said, it tests over 100 pounds, so that's all I could ask for. I bought it Actually, when I bought it, I wasn't testing it. I bought it to make shark rigs for, or out of, for when I'm down in Pensacola. And I have not intentionally fished for sharks yet, except for that one cast that I made that ended up being dolphins. Yeah, I mean, I would love. Apparently, you've seen that I test hooks. I love testing this kind of stuff, and it to me it's very interesting because you look. What's the most important piece of equipment you have, right? Is it the hook? Is it the line? Is it the reel? Is it the rod? Okay, let's be honest. It's not the reel. It's not the rod. If you don't have a good hook, nothing else matters. If you don't have good line, it doesn't matter what kind of hook you have, right? The only thing the reel is going to do for you is possibly give you better casting distance, less line twist, and the drag, which is important, but still. And the rod, it's going to be lighter. It's going to have better feel or more transmit the energy to your hands or whatever, so you can feel more subtle bites and stuff. But when we're catfishing, it doesn't matter. We're casting out, we're setting the darn thing, and we're waiting for something to grab a hold of a circle hook and hook itself. It does not matter. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have decent equipment, but I'm saying that an ugly stick will get you by quite fine. You don't need a $500 catfish rod. I like quality stuff. But one of the things about where I'm going with that is one of the things about the testing that there's going to be a weak point somewhere. Every rig has a failure point, whether it's the drag on the rod or the reel, whether it's the rod breaking for whatever reason. If it's your main line, if it's your leader, if it's your swivel. I've popped a few of the ball bearing swivels, and you can hear a little as they do a little tiny little shotgun blast as they pop apart. Ooh, good, I'm live. I don't know what happened there, but it was not pretty. There has to be a failure point somewhere. And I'm just trying to help provide information so we can make better rigs for all of us. That would be awesome, man. My email address is on my channel about page. Shoot me an email. I'll send you my address. I would appreciate it. I don't know how bad shipping is from Canada to the U.S. And that's one of the things that I've really wanted. I've hoped that people would embrace is, especially the people that use those like 330-yard spools of line. They're almost useless because you spool up one reel and you may have 50 yards of line left. What are you going to do with it? I mean, use it for leader, I guess. But that's where you can unspool it and just throw it in an envelope and put on however much a stamp is these days. And I could try a different line. A few hooks, things like that. I am not asking people to send me, big giant spools of line. But if I had not tried out this, the Sufix Tritanium, so I use their Sufix Superior Mono, but a lot of people are really into, you got to use the fluorocarbon, because fluorocarbon. But what I find interesting, let me see if I can. It doesn't show up very well. At least doesn't. I mean, maybe it does show up okay on camera. So this is the Superior, and they're both clear, but the Tritanium has like a milky color to it. It's more of a white than a clear. It's interesting to me, especially when we're trying to get the most invisible line we can possibly get, and you're like, but it's white. It's not even clear. It's clear / transparent. And this Tritanium, honest to God, I wish people could feel it, because just like this, it doesn't feel like it, but when you start tying knots and stuff, you're like, you just kind of feel like you get lotion on your hands. but it's not. I mean, there's no grease to it. There's, I rubbed a paper towel against it and stuff, and it's not leaving marks or anything. But when my trilene knot kept slipping, I was like, how the... So it does make sense. It is a very slick line. Let's see. Oh, wow. Shipping is expensive, isn't it? Yeah, you don't need... Yeah. Absolutely. You can absolutely hand line. I mean, it's not like, I don't know about y'all, but I started on cane poles. Hey, Skeeter. Sorry if I was not paying enough attention. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. Skeeter is another one of those channels. He's been going live a lot lately. He and the missus get out there, and they are out there chasing fish almost daily. If fluoro's clear to us, I guess here's where I'm going with that. So for the catfish community, we're using stuff like rattles, and we're using stuff like peg floats or demon dragons. They're old Xerospooks is what they are. We're using beads to protect our knots, and for pompano rigs, we're using little bright colored floats and beads and stuff. And I'm sitting there going, and we're worried about whether they can see the line. At what point are we going, hey, look, this is natural? I guess the whole line visibility thing, and granted, catfish are not line shy. They just kind of like, hey, I'm down here, I'm eating whatever I want to. Chasing mermaids, ooh. So now, don't get me wrong, I fish for trout, and trout are some line shy SOBs. So I understand that different species are different ways, but when you start adding jewelry all over the rig and then going, well, it has to be line, they can't see the line. I don't know. I think, like everything, there's a lot of what I would consider old wives' tales. There's things that I've believed for years and years and years that you've heard it enough times. One that I can easily disprove. The Palomar knot is 100% knot strength. Actually, I watched one guy on YouTube that he says he had a 200% knot. Like, you can't test that. You can't tell me that the knot is 200% the strength of the mono, because at 100% strength of the mono breaks. So the knot, you can't test above 100%. Yeah. And the other thing is, they'll say, well, okay, so you're using trilene big game 20-pound mono. So if a Palomar knot holds to 20 pounds, it's 100% knot. No, this line breaks at 28. I tested it. So if the knot breaks before if it breaks at the knot instead of somewhere else in the line, then the knot is not 100%. It's science. And I often use that phrase as a joke, What are the chances of catching fish today? 50-50, either you do or you don't. It's just science. Well, no, that's not really true. But there's, if a Palomar knot breaks at 21 pounds and the line breaks at 28, then it's not 100% knot strength. It just isn't. The only 100% strength knot that I found that's consistent is that no knot Snell / egg loop knot. And like I say, I couldn't sleep last night, and I needed to, and I got up and I came in here and played around with this stuff. It's fascinating to me, and I used to use the Palomar knot a lot. I've switched to the trilene knot because it's actually a little bit stronger. They're about the same if you don't mess up the Palomar knot, but the Palomar knot is easier to mess up by introducing extra twists and stuff than the trilene knot, which is why I've switched. I cannot find a reason to ever use the clinch knot over an improved clinch knot. Appreciate it. I do appreciate. I love information. I go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole. I work in IT. I can start off researching one thing, and before you know it, I'm learning about colon cancer. What does that have to do with the blue screen of death? Anyway, so I do find things that I find interesting. Things that I don't find interesting, yeah. And I talk about something that it was, I don't remember who wrote the book, but it was an interesting concept and one that goes against common wisdom, but actually has always made sense to me. And that was, if you're not good at something, you should work on it until you are. And this was like, no, you work on the things that come natural to you. Except that there are some things that you just aren't going to be good at. Some people are not mechanically inclined. There's no amount of practice that's going to make them anything more than mediocre. There are other people out there that are just absolutely geniuses with that kind of stuff. I can't tell you how many guitars I have and can't play any of them, but there are people who can pick up a guitar and almost immediately become a savant. I don't have that. I can work on it. I can get to mediocrity if I worked hard enough. Braid to mono would be the, okay. Best would be the FG knot. So I do like the FG knot. I do want to play around some more with the SC knot. Because it looks like there should be a hack where you just kind of can like put a weight or something and just and make it wrap itself up. But I have not gone that far. Just getting the FG knot semi-perfected or excelling in mediocrity was enough for me. Because the whole shock leader thing is a new concept to me. And so I'll explain it for everybody else that may not understand what I'm talking about. So I'm used to leaders, right? So you have your main line that comes out at the tip of your rod. It goes to a swivel, and then you have a leader. The swivel never goes inside the rod, or it's not supposed to go in through the eyes. And so your leader is going to be anywhere from 6 inches to 6 feet. Well, the shock leaders, they're using the example I'll give is some of those guys are using 10-pound braid. And sometimes have to go up to a 4-ounce sinker. And when you're using a 10, 12-foot surf rod, the amount of energy in that whipping motion, you can break a 4-ounce sinker off real easy. Even though you're going, well, but it's 10-pound line and 4-ounce sinker. How does that make sense? It just does. Well, the shock leader actually is going to be, the rule of thumb they use is 3 times the length of the rod, which means that you reel in the knot that connects the two of them, the FG knot in this case. And you've got mono that is actually wrapped around your reel several times and before you ever make the cast. Well, so you've got the heavier mono that does have the stretch and can deal with that kinetic energy. Anyway. And can survive, whereas if you tied it straight to braid, you'd break off more often than you wanted to. So shock leaders are a new thing to me because we've used leaders. Most of the catfish community believes in mono, which is not a bad thing. Mono is not bad line. But when you're, especially spinning gear, once you get over 20 or maybe even 30 pound, it gets unwieldy. And braid helps resolve that issue. Line slap and all that kind of stuff because it doesn't have the thickness, it doesn't have the memory, it doesn't have the inflexibility that mono has. Like, this, how tight can you wrap this 100-pound mono, right? Well, not easily, right? But I'm also of the Braid's expensive. I buy cheap braid. Probably shouldn't. I'll learn my lesson. I'm one of those people that I like to buy inexpensive stuff, and sometimes the cheap stuff costs you more in the long run. But I also like really good deals. I'll mention it to anybody who's here that didn't hear it earlier. I did post a video today. Amazon right now, if you care about 20-pound moss green, Berkeley Trilene, big game, or 30-pound clear, they have the 3-pound spools. I want to say it's like $45 for the 20-pound and like $65 for the 30-pound. It's not the other colors. Most of it's going to be closer to 200, or not 200, to $120 for those 3-pound spools. And a 3-pound spool. This is a 216 yards. It's maybe a half-pound spool. I know this is a 1/4-pound spool. So a 3-pound spool is not going to fit on anything you're going to use to spool, unless it's a big honking spooler. I mean, these are going to be, yeah. You may never buy line again. Anyway, folks, I have run my mouth as long as I can. There's 5 of you still here. God bless each and every one of you. I do go fishing. I'm planning on going out. I'm hoping to get out in the kayak this weekend. I'm either going... I'm hoping to either get out in the kayak this weekend or get out skipjacking this weekend. It may be neither. It may, who knows what it's going to be. But so please do subscribe. I appreciate the folks that have helped me as I'm trying to get that partial monetization. I'm hoping that when this week is over, according to YouTube, that I'll be at that 3,000 for the monetization part. The earn section says I'm a little over 2,700. From several days ago, but my regular stats say that I'm over 3,000. So somewhere in the middle, they have to validate the watch hours, whatever the hell that means. I guess that's to make sure I'm not watching my own videos 27 times over and over. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate each and every one of you. You've been a blessing. And Wildcat, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the interaction and the time that you spent, and the fact that you let me talk about crap and didn't get offended and stuff. A lot of people use 4X, 8X solid braid and they get cut off on rocks. Hollow core braid is abrasion resistant. This is solid braid. Okay, help me out. What is hollow core braid? So I know about the 4-strand, I know about the 8-strand, I know about the lead center, whatever they call it, the weighted line. I don't know that I've heard of the hollow core braid, unless that's what you're. Well, that's the lead core, so that would not be hollow. Does seem interesting, because you're right. That's a lot of the catfish people are like, well, I fish in rocks and trees and stuff, and I need something that's abrasion resistant, and braid is not. But that's where I think that if the catfish community would adopt the shock leaders, I think it'd be interesting, because then you've got 20 or 30 feet of mono at the end of the braid, and it might be worth checking out. But again, braid's still phenomenally more expensive, especially the really good stuff, or what's supposed to be the good stuff. And I'm too cheap. I use stuff like Hercules braid and crap like that. The people talking about the Power Pro Super Slick and all this. I'm like, $30 for one reel, for spooling one reel. No. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time. Please do check out all the other channels that are in here. Wildcat, do you have a channel? I know Skeeter does. I know that Fun Fishing Adventures does. I know Pontoon Jody does. I know Rustic does. Angie Fishing does. I'm not. East Tennessee Whiskers does. Jerry Hager, 419 Fishing and Power Coating does. I'm sure I already said Rustic. All good folks to check out. Ashley Brady likes to do some karaoke stuff and singing, and yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. we will see you next time. Have a good night. I'm trying to push the button. Push the button. There you go.